What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. Welcome back to an important preview for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Let's go to Belmont at the Big A on Saturday, October 4th. Race 7 on the card. It's the Champagne Stakes. I'll put it up on the screen for you now. $500,000 event going 1 mile. It is a one-turn, 1 mile race here in this one. $500,000, like I said, grade 1 here for the 2-year-olds. Field of 9. Let's go through them one by one. And let's see what we can do, see what we can decide for here. As we'll start off with the number 1 curtain call to kick us off. Of course, a second place effort on debut, a pretty good race, won by obliteration, a horse that was pretty good. And kind of hasn't been as much here lately. But 2 races back did get the maiden broke there at Saratoga very easily by over 8 lengths. And then last time out was third, beaten 8 in the hopeful at Saratoga. Didn't run horrible in that race. I think should be a horse that we're going to hear from moving forward. Can he win this one? I'm not quite sure. I think there's still a little bit more developing that needs to do with this horse. Horse is by Tis the Law, so going a mile shouldn't be too much of a problem for this one. But I think in with a shot. I thought in with a shot at the hopeful too. He wasn't awful. I just didn't think he was great in that one. All right, let's keep going to the number 2 Stradale. This is a horse who is still a maiden. I think that's the bad news. But the good news is, was bet down to favoritism both times at Saratoga over the summer and ran well both times. Got beat 3, got third beaten 2.5 on debut, and then second start got second. Beaten only a quarter of a length, ran pretty good in that one as well. Look, I think this is one that even though as a maiden does make sense to run here. I think we're going to see the best of this horse, kind of moving forward. I'm not sure this horse is going to go past about a mile. I think that's going to be kind of the limit, but I like the aggressive move, put this horse in the race. Maiden going to give it a shot. It's not going to be for me on top, but it's still, I do think it makes sense. This horse is in the race, ran pretty well, even though those were 2 losing efforts. The number 3 is Universe. This horse trained by Kenny McPeak and on debut at Saratoga was a maiden special weight winner by 4.5 lengths. And looked pretty good doing it. I thought this was a very good race from Universe. Won at 17-1 that day, so didn't get a lot of money, was still able to get the job done. Had a pretty good work pattern coming in, but don't have connections that are going to get bet just a ton up in Saratoga maidens. Kenny McPeak, nothing wrong with that. Elliott, the rider, he's a fine rider, but I don't think he's a guy that's just going to take a lot of money all the time, right? And he's not a guy that jumps on a first-time starter and you're like, oh, Christopher Elliott, I'm going to bet this horse, But anyway, just it didn't break like just particularly well early, but was able to recover quickly. And I was impressed, and I think this horse is pretty decent. I think going forward, maybe this horse has got a little bit of a shot here in the spot. I think this is a logical spot after how impressive he was. That race was at 7 furlongs, so the 1 turn mile should be, pretty much in the realm. So I think Universe shows up with a big shot in this one. The number 4 is II. Yes, the number 4, AYE, EYE, a horse that broke the maiden at Saratoga in one of those restricted maiden races and did it by 1.5 lengths, and then came back and finished 5th in the hopeful. Look, this one's not for me in this spot. I'm going to just say that because, off the form, just looks a little bit of a cut below. Nicely bred horse, so by essential quality, a horse that, obviously was pretty good, and kind of seeing his first 2-year-olds hit the ground here. So we'll see what happens. Not for me in this spot, but I wouldn't completely just dismiss this horse. I think there's some decent runnings this horse has maybe in the future. All right, let's go to the number 5, Just ASAP or Just ASAP, a horse that was at a maiden special weight level when debuting, a maiden claiming level when debuting, and won at Ellis Park, and then went up to the Sapling and finished second, beaten a quarter of a length. Neither effort too bad. Obviously the win was pretty good, and the Sapling wasn't too bad either. Kind of not for me in this spot. Kind of a big proving ground here to run in the Champagne after those 2 races. So not for me. I don't like horses that debut in maiden claiming races. Now, sometimes they turn out to be okay. I'm a little skeptical of this horse coming to this race. I think he's got a lot to prove in this one. Let's go to the one that has really nothing to prove and the one that's going to take all the money, and rightfully so, and that's the number 6. It's Our Time. It's Our Time, one race, a debut race at Saratoga on August 16th, won by 17 3/4 lengths, absolutely dusting a field with absolute ease. Kind of stalked a fast pace and just said, see you later when they got to the top of the stretch. And, beat a horse that day that was bet down pretty heavily. But I really, really, really like what I saw from this horse. 5-1 on debut, so it was bet, but not as heavy as the big favorite in that race, and just past the horse like is standing still. So super impressive. I mean, this is one that everybody is really, really excited about. Sired by Not This Time, a horse we know can do almost anything. So sky is definitely the limit with this 6. It's Our Time. Going to be very, very tough to beat this one if he shows up with the same kind of effort as last time out. I do want to make note that there was kind of some talk, maybe run him in the Hopeful, which would have been about a 3-week turnaround. I'm kind of glad they did this and went to the Champagne. I think as good as that horse ran on debut, you want to give him enough time, right? You don't want to run him back too quick. Be patient with him. There's huge races coming up. So I like the time off, or not really time off, but I like the time between races. Horse seems to be working out just fine. I think the horse will show up and run very, very well in this one. Stick Up Without a Gun is the 7 horse, and this is another Kenny McPeak runner who broke the maiden at Saratoga last time out, going 6 furlongs, won by 2 1/4 length. I like this horse okay as well. I think it's a little bit too tough of a spot. That's where I'm at with this one. I maybe underneath. I kind of like this horse a little bit. I don't think he's good enough to get the job done and actually win the race, though. All right, let's go to the number 8, Napoleon Solo, a horse that I think is in here with a shot after a very impressive 5 1/4 length victory and one of those restricted maidens there at Saratoga last time out. Chad Summers trains this horse. He had a couple of nice ones up at Saratoga. This one maybe being the nicest one of all. Joel Rosario will get the ride today. Kendrick Carmouche actually rode this horse on debut. He's going to be on the one we're going to talk about next. But Napoleon Solo, I like him. Again, one race, it was a restricted maiden. We'll just have to see how the horse bounces out of that. Taking on tougher today. Has bullet workouts leading up to this one as well. 3 straight bullet workouts there, whether it be at Saratoga or at Belmont. So, look, I think there's not a whole lot to talk about with a lot of these because there's just 1 or 2 starts, but certainly that was a very good start. And this horse is Brian Liam's Map, a horse that obviously a very good sire as well. And then finally, we'll get to the number 9, Talkin'. This is the final entry here. And Kendrick Carmouche, who rode the 8, also rode the 9 last time out, chooses the 9, at least seemingly. You never know. Sometimes these jockey deals kind of happen before the fact, before the draw, and then you look and you go, oh, he chose this one over this one, where maybe he was on one all the time, and so on and so forth. But anyway, it kind of feels that way. Nice debut win on 8:30 there at Saratoga, winning by a 1/4 of a length. And if you hear me say this, you go, oh, that race sounds familiar because a horse lost by a 1/4 of a length on 8:30 at Saratoga. Yeah, that was the number 2. So the number 9 was the one that beat the number 2 that day. Stradale was like I said, bet down to almost even money. We're talking wins the race at 9-1. Pretty good effort. If you like the 2, you gotta like the 9. If you like the 9, you kind of gotta like the 2. That's the way I look at it here. With this one, I think they're both candidates for underneath. I'm not quite sure they can get the job done. But still, I do like that Carmouche was not able, but did pick the 9 over the 8 in this spot. I think that makes this horse a lot more attractive, no doubt about it. And in turn, it does make the number 2 a lot more attractive as well. All right, that's the field of 9 here for this year's running of the Champagne Stakes up at Belmont at the Big A. It's hard for me to go against the number 6. It's Our Time. Very, very nice debut. For my money, the best maiden special weight winner we saw up at Saratoga this year. That race was at 6.5 furlongs. Now we go to a mile. Horses by Not This Time. I don't think that's going to be any trouble. I really like the number 6. It's Our Time to get the job done here. So give me the number 6. It's Our Time on top. I know he's going to be a short price. I do think the 2, the 8, the 9, and the 1 underneath make a lot of sense. Morning line odds aren't out. If you can get one of those at a bigger price, maybe try to take a shot, or maybe just play them straight with the 6. It's Our Time on top. The odds will kind of dictate that a little bit for me. We'll just kind of see. I would say It's Our Time's going to be pretty low, but we're surprised a lot in racing. Hard to predict the odds. All right, that'll do it for this preview of the Champagne Stakes. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're playing Belmont at the Big A on Saturday.